Today is Sunday, April 13th, and welcome to episode 7 of Knits and Stuff. My name is Alicia, and today I'm going to be talking about works in progress, pretty things, local delights, and wibbly wobbly timey wimey. So, before I start, welcome to those of you that are new, and thanks to those of you that are returning. If you haven't already, please join the group that I finally made on Ravelry. It's called Knits and Stuff Podcast, and I made it on Sunday, and I was so surprised and so excited to see that there were people already joining. Yeah, thanks to those of you that are joining, and go ahead and look for it on Ravelry if you haven't yet. It's finally there. And also show notes are at knitsandstuff.wordpress.com, and I'll put a link to the Ravelry group in the show notes, and along with everything else that I talk about. And yeah, so let's get started. I don't have any finished objects, so we'll go straight into works in progress. So I'm still working on the Twigs and Willows cardigan by Alana Dakos from Botanical Knits. I finished the back panel and the front left panel, and now I'm working on the front right panel. I knit maybe like an inch or two since last we spoke. And so I haven't reached the, I have about 30 rows to go until I reach the leaf part of it. And I'm knitting these on US 7s, 4.5 millimeters. These are the Addy bamboo clicks, so they're interchangeable needles. And these are I'm keeping the sweater in my fox bag from the Silver Shed, and yeah, that's about it on that. So still working on that one, and I'm also still working on my toe-up socks with a difference, and they're in the Needle Runs Through It project bag. And still on the first sock, I have reached the heel, beginning of the heel. And if you can see, let me focus, you can see the start of a heel come up, so I'm still working on this one. I haven't reached the short row shaping yet, but yeah, it fits well so far, so I'm excited. This is Western Sky Knits Aspen sock with nylon, and in the colorway Alley. And the Twigs and Willow sweater is in Madeline Tosh DK in the colorway Night Bloom. That's important. Yeah. Oh, and then I'm knitting these on US Zeros, 2.0 millimeters, and these are Hayas bamboo, and they're kind of flexible when I knit. So I've been slowly learning that a lot of other sock knitters use metal needles, and they usually rave about the signature metal double points. So I kind of want to try those someday, but I haven't gotten them yet. We'll see. I haven't knit that many socks, so I can't justify the purchase yet. But I'm hoping to try those, because I think they'll be metal needles will be easier to knit with socks for me, because the flexible ones or the bamboo ones, since they kind of bend, they're not as comfortable, I guess, on my hands. But they seem to work fine though with these socks, so I'm excited. And I don't know what it is, but everyone that knits socks makes it seem like it goes so quickly, but I feel like this is taking me a long time. I guess I'm not used to knitting such a small gauge of yarn, because I don't normally use fingering weight for anything else, except for maybe shawls, which I don't have that much of. But I'm wearing one right now. This is my Saroyan shawl that I finished a few weeks ago that I talked about on the podcast. yeah. And I think that's all my knitting works in progress. I've done some spinning, and I started the second braid of the Pigeon Roof Studios BFL. Oh. The Pigeon Roof Studios BFL roving in the colorway tourmaline. Tourmaline? And I'm spinning this on my ladybug, and I don't like to disconnect the fiber from the wheel if I don't have to. So I'm gonna try it and show this to you. Or maybe I'll move the camera. It's okay. Yeah, so I'll try and bring this up on my ladybug, and I have too many cords in the way. So there's that. I haven't gotten that much done yet, but yeah, this is my ladybug. So, but I'm glad that I've actually done spinning recently instead of like last week when I didn't have anything, or not last week, but 2 weeks ago when I didn't have anything. So yeah, so I'm working on that. And then another works in progress is, well, I didn't start it yet, but the skirt that I talked about last time about sewing, I printed out the pattern, and that's how much paper there is. I think it's about 40 pages that I need to cut up and tape together and then cut again into the shape. But it's on scrap paper, so it's okay. Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of work to do, which is why I haven't done it yet. But that's the skirt that I want to make in this fabric. So I'm excited. And yeah, that's all works in progress. So now it's time for Pretty Things. And it's also a soon-to-be work in progress. I am making a necklace for my friend for her birthday, and I don't really know much about jewelry making or beading, but I'm going to see what happens. And yeah, so I went to Baubles and Beads in Berkeley, in the North Berkeley area on Shattuck. And this little bead store, actually it's not that little, but actually, oh, I got my beads for the My Hope shawl. I got the seed beads from that store also. So that's really kind of the only bead store in Berkeley. Yeah. Everything else is either like Joann's or, yeah, that's pretty much the only other option. So it's good that they're there. So I got these raw looking gemstone crystal beads. So there's this larger plain one, and then there's two smaller peach colored ones, and then a couple of gold beads to act as separators. I don't really know the proper terms for everything, or how I'm gonna do this, but I also got a gold chain, not that exciting. And then I have the wire, because the holes in the beads, I guess, don't go directly, or the beads themselves don't go directly on the chain, because the holes are too small, which I should have realized. So I also got this rose gold wire to go through the beads. So hopefully I can do it. I hope I got everything I needed. So yeah, you might see a picture of that. I should finish it before the next podcast because her birthday is coming up. But hopefully I'll get some pictures of that, and if it works. Okay, so local delights. This one is not terribly local to me, but it would be local to you if you're in the Sacramento area of California. So last weekend, my boyfriend, Will, he ran 50 miles, which is an ultra marathon, and I know he's crazy. And he ran it in the Folsom area, starting by Folsom Lake and then going down and then back up and then all the way to Auburn, which is ridiculous. And the first half I think is kind of on a bike trail and by the streets, and then the second half, once they passed an area called Beals Point, that is in the trail, lots of hills and what they call technical running. I'm not that much of a runner, so, but I guess if you don't know something that's technical or that's more technical, the terrain is kind of rocky and difficult. So, and I drove by one of the trails that they had to go up, and it was like I don't know, 40 degrees incline, rocky, something that you would have trouble just hiking. So, and everyone was walking it. So, yeah, he was kind of crazy. But the area was really nice. There were a couple of aid stations that they set up at different points along the race, and one of them was at Willow Creek. There's a nice little bike trail, and that's right across from the Folsom Outlets. I didn't get to go shopping because, well, he started at like 6 a.m. and the Willow Creek stop was at 8 a.m. and I think the outlets didn't open until 10 a.m. So, but I was trying to meet him at each aid station that I could access. So Willow Creek was one of them, and then the halfway point at Beals Point was this really nice park area, and they had picnic tables and grills, and if I had foresight I would have like just probably hung out there and brought some of our other friends, and then have a barbecue for lunch, and then probably make all the runners really hungry. Yeah, so I saw Will at that one, and then there was, let's see, what was after? Oh, there was one that I barely caught him at because for some reason they decided, oh, it was at Granite Bay, they decided to do a triathlon at the same time as the ultramarathon. So there were some runners that I saw, and I was like, oh, this must be the next rest stop. And so I started walking towards the area where it looked like there was a rest stop, following some of the runners, and then I see another big inflatable arch, and I was like, oh, they just did that at Beals Point. I wonder if they are I wonder why they would do that again, because they have a, they had at Beals Point, they had a sensor that would mark, that would keep track of when the runners go by with their little bibs to mark their times. And so I was like, that's kind of strange that they would do it right after they did the halfway point. And then I got over there and I started hearing some of the announcements, and they're calling out their names again, and I was like, this is really weird. And then they're saying they finished, or their finish time, and I was like, oh, that's not right. And so found out that that was the finish for the triathlon, and the aid station for the ultramarathon was somewhere else. So I almost missed him. I had to drive around again, and then park in a different parking lot, and then hop on my bike and try to catch him at Granite Bay, and just barely caught him. And that's also another nice recreational area. I think it's not as big as Beals Point is, but yeah, so I caught him there, and then I went over to Rattlesnake Bay, I think. And that one isn't as much of like a sitting area, but it's more just like a parking lot along the trails that they have up there. So saw him there, and he was doing good. That was at the 40-mile mark. And then at the finish point, which was at the dam overlook, and the Auburn Dam overlook, or the American River Dam overlook, that was in Auburn. That was the finish point, and so we were waiting for him there for a while. Oh, and before that I went there, I decided that I needed some coffee since we got up at 4 a.m. and then we had, by the time I was at Rattlesnake Bay, that was, I don't know, like 1:30-ish and or maybe 1:30, 2-ish, something. Yeah, I think it was around 2. So yeah, by that time I was like, I think I need more coffee. So there's this well, once you go north of where the Rattlesnake was, then you kind of get out of the more commercial area. And so I passed a Starbucks and I was like, oh, it's okay, I'll get coffee closer to where the finish is. And as I'm driving around, I start to see more like farmhouses, I guess estates kind of, and farmlands. And they're actually really nice houses that were pretty large, and they had pretty large lots, but they still seemed kind of close to their neighbors. So it's like a neighborhood of rural farm areas, I guess. It was kind of nice instead of the really big spread out farmlands. So, and then I noticed that there wasn't any other coffee around, and, or at least not another Starbucks. So I looked up on Yelp to see if there's anything nearby, and there was a small drive-through coffee place called the Daily Grind. Not, I think, was in Auburn, and that was, they had a good. I had an iced white mocha, and it was pretty good. So after that, yeah, I head over to the finish point, the dam overlook, and Will finished with in just under 10 hours, 9:48, and which was really good for his first ultra marathon. So it was exciting. And then he also has a blog that he started yesterday about his running. So if you're interested in that at all, I'll link to it in the show notes. It's willwinruns at blogspot.com, but I'll put a link. And yeah, I think that was pretty much the area. I think the dam overlook was kind of crowded because of all the stuff that they had on for the marathon, so it was kind of hard to see what it was really like. But Bill's Point was definitely really nice. And actually Rattlesnake also had a really nice view of the valley, I guess. And I'll probably put a picture at the end of the show too, because I was knitting while I was waiting for him on the sock. So yeah, that's Local Delights. So I think Folsom is about an hour and a half away from where I am. But if you're in the Sacramento area, you're close by. And if you're visiting there, it's a nice place to go for bike rides. So I guess they have also some bike rentals too that you could go explore the area. And they seem to have a lot of nice like hiking trails too. And yeah, but I would imagine it would get really warm in the summer though. It wasn't too warm when we were there, but it was definitely heating up. Yeah, so that's Local Delights. So now it's time for Wibbly Wobbly Timey Wimey. I wanted to show some of the Doctor Who goodies that I've accumulated over the past couple of years since I've started watching the show. I was going to show my my TARDIS mug, but it's downstairs in the microwave because I wanted to heat it up because there was some coffee from this morning and I was going to start drinking it again. And then I put it in the microwave, went upstairs, and I was about to go back downstairs to get it, and there was a huge black spot on the wall by the staircase, and I was like, what is that? And then I looked at it and I was like, oh no, it's a spider. And it was one of those like fat chunky spiders, like with the thick legs, and ugh, no. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll wait to get the mug. So I can't show my mug right now, but it's downstairs. It's a TARDIS mug, and I think Karen from Around the Twist has one that she's shown on her podcast. So yeah, it's pretty, a lot of people have it. It's pretty common, I think. Well, for Doctor Who fans. Yeah, so that would have been one thing. But I can show you a couple of other things. So let's do the TARDIS wallet first. This is a wallet that Miriam gifted me. It's from Etsy, and it was made by Happy Kathy on Etsy, and I'll have to link her shop in the show notes. But this is the inside, and there's different pockets for your cards, and then it also on the other side, well, it has the big pockets for cash or whatever else, coupons, etc. There's a little clear cover for your ID and a zipper pocket for coins, and it's all in. Sorry about that. I got cut off because my memory card ran out of space, so I need to transfer over the videos. I should get a bigger memory card. So I was saying that the wallet is covered in TARDIS fabric, and not just one TARDIS, but a bunch of different ones. And I don't know if they have all of them, but I've seen this fabric, I think, on Spoonflower, where the site where you can design or get custom design fabrics. And they have, so this one has a bunch of different, the different Doctor's TARDISes, TARDI, and, yeah, so I don't know if this has all of the different ones, but it definitely has a good variation of them. And the second Doctor Who goodie that I wanted to show is my little wraps per inch tool. Let's get that focused. So, that is the TARDIS wraps per inch tool from Tangerine Designs. I love laser cut wood. I wish I could have a laser cutter so I could cut wood into everything and have like the burn designs too. So yeah, this is awesome. And yes, this is my wraps per inch tool. I use it, I think it's the only one that I have. So yeah, I use it for my spinning. When I'm done with the yarn that I've spun up, I'll just wrap it around, and it should be, it's an inch around from one end to the other. And it is a TARDIS, so can't get much better than that. And it has a little keychain, so I could put on my keys if I wanted to, but I have enough stuff on my keys as it is. So yeah, that's all the Doctor Who goodies I'll show today. I have plenty more, but I can always spread them out since we have some time before the next season starts. So I think that is pretty much it. Yeah, so social media stuff. I've been forgetting to announce everything or state everything that I'm on, but I am Eliana Knits on Ravelry. I'm Unperfect529 on Twitter, which I don't really use that much, but it does get updated from my other social network stuff sometimes. And also Unperfect529 on Instagram and on Pinterest, which I use a lot for collecting things. But I only really have 1 or 2 fiber related threads or boards. Yeah, and then the group on Ravelry is called Knits and Stuff Podcast. And yeah, come join. Say hi. Suggest other threads maybe. I think I should put up a Doctor Who thread where we could talk about Doctor Who, anything and everything. Yeah, and thanks for watching. I will see you in 2 weeks. Hopefully, right now I'm off. My schedule is slightly reversed, so I'm supposed to be doing the podcast on the Friday that I'm off, but I ended up doing them on the weekend because of all the stuff that was going on when Miriam was here. So yeah, I'm doing them on the weekend that I don't have the Friday off, so I want to get back to that Friday off. So I might either do a podcast in 1 week or in 3 weeks, or maybe in 2 weeks, who knows. So I will see you next time. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.